Is the door still open between Andrew S. and Katie? Hey guys, and welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We've got all the details you need to know about the dramatic breakup between Andrew S. and Katie. But before we do that, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and I am joined today by Fiona Zaring and Hiba Bary, and we have a lot to discuss about this Andrew S. breakup. Fiona, quite the triple layer emotional breakup between Andrew S. and Katie. We're going to get all into it, but I first want to know, were you surprised that he did not get the rose at the rose ceremony?
Yes, I was so surprised. I feel like this was a moment that I was not predicting. I have nothing against Justin. I just feel like camera time wise and what we have seen between Andrew S. and Katie, the connection they've had, this was not something I would have put money on last night at all.
Hiba, why don't you think that Andrew S. got the rose?
I mean, I agree with you, Fiona. I was just as surprised as well as blindsided. I did not see that coming. And you can definitely see how heavy that decision weighed on Katie. So it wasn't anything she took lightly. But because of that, why didn't she keep him? Because clearly she had such a strong reaction, an emotional reaction to sending him home. So clearly there's a deep connection there. But like she said, I guess she just had stronger relationships, which is surprising to hear. But I do think that Andrew, maybe the reason was because of maybe his career, because they did have that conversation of them possibly having to deal with what direction his career goes in. He is going to be international. So that is something that Katie definitely had to consider as far as maybe having a future with him. So if there maybe was one good reason, I think that might have been it. I don't think she's the type of person to want to do a long distance relationship because she has been trying to find someone for so long, and to have it be a long distance relationship, I think she might have been selling herself short a little bit, because it does seem like she's in that time of her life where she wants commitment. She wants to build a foundation with somebody in real time, in real life, right next to her. So I think having that dynamic of it being a long distance relationship wouldn't unfortunately have lasted. But I feel like chemistry wise, I mean, they had a great connection. So I think that's why I was blindsided. But as far as like the practicality, the proximity of the relationship working out, I think that would have been a really big challenge for both of them.
Yeah, I feel like Katie's in this place of life where she's really ready to settle down and get engaged and get married.
Yes.
She said that multiple times throughout the season. And Andrew S. is a few years younger than Katie, and I don't know if he's still married to football like he said he was, but if he still wants to play, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Katie. She's not trying to, do a long distance or move to Austria or Germany or wherever else, but that could have played a factor into why she sent him home. So Andrew S. and Katie, they had a strong connection all season, and last night on The Bachelorette, he told her that he was falling for her in a very romantic way with a note that was attached to lights from their first date. Katie made the very difficult decision to give Justin the rose over Andrew at the rose ceremony, which blindsided Andrew. This was the first time Katie revealed she was not confident in her decision, and we got a shot of her telling producers how unsure she was. So they brought back Andrew S. the next day to go to her hotel room for some closure. Andrew S. said he wanted to leave on happy terms and left her a note that said, "If it doesn't work out, I'll be waiting." Wow. So Fiona, do you think that Andrew made the right decision going to her hotel room? And what do you think he meant by the note?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I actually loved the fact that they had him come back. I did feel like, first of all, we saw that scene in the promo of her running after him, right? So I was expecting something to happen, past the rose ceremony. I think this was a produced moment in the sense that producers clearly staged this whole thing. But I also felt like it was really great. Like, I think that this is the first split that Katie really needed that extra conversation. To me, it feels like in Bachelorland, there are exits where it ends with the rose ceremony, you close the door and you move on. And then there are more, bonds that feel so much more rooted in reality. And in real life, you don't break up with someone by not handing them a rose and then close that door for weeks and weeks and weeks. Usually it's a little messier. Usually you really need that emotional moment and then that, okay, like thankful for our time together moment. And I do think they deserved that, and I think they needed it. As far as what I thought about the note, I know there was some debate on Twitter about this. I read it as, if this process doesn't work out for you, give me a call. I know she kind of chased after him, offered him some more time, and he declined. but I really wasn't expecting him to turn around and walk back in there.
Mm.
Personally, maybe this is
Mhm.
just where, I'm coming from as my own person. I couldn't do that. It would feel like too much hurt to turn around. You would be so off your game. I think you would be so insecure. So I
Yeah.
kind of read it as, if this show doesn't work out, if you don't find that these stronger connections that you just told me yourself you have with other men, those don't work out, then you give me a
Mhm.
call. But people are mixed on that. So, that was just
Yeah.
my take.
Yeah. Hiba, who wrote the note? Who really wrote the note? Do you know Jersey Shore with Ron and Sam? Who
Yeah.
really wrote the note? Because my neighbor was over watching last night and she was like, Andrew didn't even write that. That's not his handwriting. The producers wrote the note. So what did you really think about this note, Hiba?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the producers wrote the note, they planted that note. Because I do think it was so dramatic, it was so produced, it was so cheesy, and it was so The Bachelorette. I mean, the running away from the camera, the shot yelling out his name, running down the stairs. It was like a movie I was watching, and
It was
I think
really,
it
really
was.
dramatic.
Yeah, super dramatic. And I think it was really strong on Andrew's part to say no because I mean that happened. He can't forget that she sent him home. That's, forever gonna be ingrained in his mind. And again, Fiona, like you said, it's gonna kind of channel into insecurity. Like she, sent me home, but if I come back, like I'll get hurt even more. This is going to create a deeper void. And I think it's smart on his part where he had to step away. He had to make his own decision to step away, even though there was an open invitation to come back. So I think it's nice that, the offer is still on the table with the note situation. And I do agree that maybe it was in regards to if the journey doesn't work out. I think it would have been different if it said, if you change your mind, I'll be waiting. I think that might have been a little bit more like if she regretted the decision of sending him home, then to still come back into the season. But it just seems like it was a done deal. Katie was convinced that, you know what, it's not going to work out, even though it was hard for her to admit that. But it was great that he came back the next day. Closure was introduced into the relationship and they were able to move on, even though it was hard. They moved on. And yeah, I just think the no part was definitely maybe the producer's idea, but yes, just very dramatic and cheesy, as we always know.
Well, I think you guys kind of have a good pulse on what's going on because Andrew did talk to ET. He was at the Men Tell All, which was reportedly filmed last Thursday, and he told ET that he didn't want to be with Katie during the show. Once she broke up with him, he didn't want to stay with her, and the reason he wrote the note is because he is open to dating Katie outside of the show, but he wasn't interested in staying on the show or in the Bachelor process as a whole. So that's kind of why he wrote the note. So you guys were absolutely correct. And I think we'll hear more about that at the Men Tell All. And after Andrew gave Katie the note and left her hotel room, as you guys mentioned, Katie chased him down the hall for one final hug and even asked Andrew if he'd be interested in staying a little bit longer. Andrew thought about it and ultimately decided not to. At that point, Andrew already was sent home and he felt that Katie revealed to him that she had stronger connections with the other guys. So Fiona, did Andrew make the right decision in not staying? What would that have looked like if he decided, oh, okay, I'll stay a couple extra days? Do you think he would have got a hometown?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, sort of as I said before, I wouldn't have been able to have stayed, right? If you break up with me, I'm like, all right, I've been broken up with. Like, I don't want you if you don't want me. So I think he made the right decision, just because I don't see how you walk back into that house, how you walk back into a scenario with this person without feeling so insecure, so rattled. And if you can't put your best foot forward in a situation like The Bachelorette, you're not going to be able to fight, especially knowing that there are already stronger connections formed. Like you said, Zachary, would that have meant that he got a hometown, or would that have meant he just got to, like, I don't know, have lunch with her the next day and then reevaluate from there? Like, even if it was a hometown, right? Let's play that out. They somehow put in the budget, right? They get his people there. They decide that that's all cool. How do you face your nearest and dearest and pitch this person to them as someone you might be proposing to when they just broke up with you and revealed that they have stronger connections with the other men whose families they are meeting, right? Like, I think that at the end of the day, as much as I would have loved a little more Andrew-esque time and maybe had hoped that she gave him the rose instead of Justin to begin with, once it was done, it was done. And I think he made the right choice.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what was he going to do? he wasn't going to stay. He
Yeah.
already felt like the relationship was over. I mean, Hiba, do you have any final thoughts on Andrew S. leaving? And what do you see for Andrew S. in the future? Could he be the next Bachelor? Is he going to Paradise? What are your thoughts?
I definitely have to agree with you, Fiona. I think, again, just insecurity would follow him if he were to step back into that place. And with Katie eliminating him, it just forever taints the relationship. Even if they get together after the show, it's still going to be in the back of his mind like, hey, like, I kind of wasn't good enough for you at one point in our relationship and you kind of doubted us. And she even mentioned that she didn't want to lie to his family because she didn't want to fake the commitment to his family and to bring their family and his family into the equation. So I just think from the beginning, once she eliminated him, called his name, or didn't call his name actually, it was just kind of the doors had just closed at that point. And I just think that, if they do get together later on, so be it. I mean, for God's sake, Matt and Rachel are back together, so anything can happen at this point.
And so are Claire and Dale.
Yeah, Claire and Dale too. So anything can happen at this point. But I think in this given moment, in real time right now, I just think the damage has kind of been done. The bomb has been dropped. So let's just see how Katie, matches up to the other guys that are left right now. But as far as Andrew being the next Bachelor, I mean, like we were discussing off camera, I mean, those tweets were just, not the best. And I don't see ABC, especially with this rebranding and wanting to avoid controversy, wanting to have a lead where there has been controversy already leading into a season that might not even have started, even with casting him as a potential Bachelor lead. So I think because of that, they really need to have like a squeaky clean lead come into the equation, like a Michelle, like a Katie, someone who's new, someone who's just outspoken, but not in a controversial way, because the Bachelor franchise has been through enough. And I think leading into that with Bachelor in Paradise, it's like, should they continue even having Andrew affiliated with this brand and continue giving him a platform? But then again, they're giving Victoria a platform. So I'm like, I don't know. Can he come back? Will he come back for Paradise? So honestly, it's just up for grabs and just unpredictable as always. But I think as far as a lead, I don't think I see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Victoria thing is a little different because that's more talking about her behavior on the show. But for everyone that doesn't know, because I guess it hasn't been getting a lot of media attention like what happened with Rachel Kirkconnell, but Justin and Andrew S. both had resurfaced inappropriate, misogynistic tweets from 10 years ago. They were in high school, they were teenagers, and they just kind of resurfaced a couple weeks ago. Andrew's were a little bit more misogynistic towards women and certain women of, his culture, where Justin's were a little bit more homophobic and a whole nother level. But to talk about Andrew, I don't know if that's going to really affect him, as far as Bachelor Nation, because he still has a lot of fans, but I don't think that he will be able to be the Bachelor because of his tweets. I know a lot of people wanted him to be the Bachelor, but it definitely puts a little bit of a halt in things. I personally feel like Andrew's grown up and he's moved on, and I'm sure he wouldn't say the things today that he said when he was a teenager, but it still puts a little poor taste in your mouth, especially because he didn't take the time to maybe go check his Twitter and delete them. Fiona, do you think Andrew S. could be the next Bachelor? Do you think he can go to Bachelor in Paradise and maybe be a latecomer? Or do you think what Hiba said, where maybe the Bachelor doesn't want to be associated with him anymore?
This is a really difficult, conversation to try to predict where producers' heads are at. So I'm going to go with my own thoughts on him, and then I'll try to make a prediction here in terms of how they'll feel, because to me, it's like a couple of different pieces, right? Let's go to those tweets. I think for Justin and for Andrew, based on what they've shown us this season, the people they are, the grown-ups that they've become, I believe in accountability, not cancel culture, right? So to me, it's like Andrew S., these tweets have come up. We obviously had to wait a really long time for Rachel to sort of address the mistakes she's made, the work she's going to be putting in. I support Rachel Kirkconnell at this stage of the game because I think she really put in the work to hold herself accountable and to become the person, she wants to be today. Matt's forgiven her. I'm all good, right? It's about accountability, not holding someone to a past version of themselves and never letting them grow from it. So if an Andrew S., if a Justin can take accountability, can address, hey, the person I was in high school, that guy had a lot of growing up to do. I am ashamed by what I had to say, right? All that kind of stuff. I think I would be okay with seeing them continue their journeys in Bachelor Nation because I don't think anybody is the person that they were in high school. But that's a big question mark, right? Like, we don't know how far this is going to go. We don't know what else may come up. Like, to Hiba's point, we don't need any room for wild cards in Bachelor Nation right now. So, putting the producer hat on now, I also think that it might be the kind of thing where they go, okay, we missed this. It didn't turn into a huge scandal during Katie's season, but there's the potential there. There is a door that could be open that could take us down a road of another season of controversy, and that's just something we can't have right now. So that's where it gets really, really tough. Accountability aside, there's the potential for controversy, and as a franchise, I don't think they have any room for that. I think whether or not we see him in Paradise or whether or not we see him as the next Bachelor is really going to come down to how Bachelor Nation continues to fight for him. Last night, if you were on Twitter, I mean, there were so many memes of people being like, all right, well, if Andrew S is in the next Bachelor, I'm rallying. Like, Bachelor Nation lining up for Andrew S to be the next Bachelor, right? So I think it's going to really come down to how do fans continue to fight for him? And does he have any interest in making this journey go even further? Because he got hurt, right? So this is one of those, I wish I had a conclusive prediction, but I just have a lot of question marks. And I'm curious to see what happens, truly.
Yeah, and he also kind of told Katie when they were breaking up in that note that he just didn't really enjoy the Bachelor process. I mean, he doesn't really like dating someone that's dating so many other people. So maybe that could go into his decision making to want to go to Paradise or want to be the Bachelor. I guess he would have more of like the lead role if he was the Bachelor. But one thing I do want to point out, a lot of guys who make it very far on the Bachelorette, like the top 6 or the top 4, usually don't end up in Bachelor in Paradise because the filming time is so quick. There's only like a week or 2 in between filming between Paradise and the Bachelorette. So a lot of the guys are usually so heartbroken, which is why we don't see them go right to Paradise and bounce back. But I do think Andrew S, he is top 5. So it is possible that he'll show up in Paradise maybe later in the season, but I don't think that he is going to be on Paradise, to be honest. And we'll have to just see what happens with him and, you know, at the Men to All and everything. I will say that Justin went on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast and addressed his tweets and apologized and owned up. Andrew S hasn't spoken yet publicly, which is probably because he hasn't been allowed to legally or contractually by ABC. But I think we will get to hear him speak about that. And then we can all kind of judge for ourselves. I think we all want to support Andrew, but we have to hear what he has to say on the situation. Hiba, final thoughts on Bachelor in Paradise and which guys from Katie's season you are most excited about, because you haven't been here and we need to know.
I'm definitely excited for, again, just all of the people intermingling as always. I mean, Victoria, I'm going to see kind of what nonsense she's up to this time around, if she's gotten better, if she's learned her lessons, if it's gone through her head, the way that she acted on Matt James's season. And honestly, I feel like I'm a little bit more invested in the contestants that were on Matt's season as well as Tayshia's, like Serena and as well as Ivan and all those guys as well. So I'm just interested to see like who's going to hit it off, who's not going to like each other, who's going to maybe be in a love triangle. So all of that's going to be...
But who are you shipping Andrew with? Who are you shipping Andrew with if he's supposedly there?
Andrew.
Andrew S.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I feel like he has such a great personality that like all the girls will flock to him in a way. And he just seems so easygoing and playful. And we saw how easily he got along with Katie. So I feel like a lot of the girls will like him. So he might have a line out the door. We'll see.
Okay, well, I'm shipping him with Jasenia, which is also someone that I've shipped like half of the guys with already. I just ship everyone with Jasenia. Do I not, Fiona?
You do. You ship a lot of people with Jasenia, which I think is interesting because I felt like during Matt's season that I didn't really know her. So I'm definitely interested to see where things go for Jasenia. She definitely seems to be someone who could make a lot of connections on the beach. I really liked Serena P. So I'm rooting for her to end up with one of the really good guys from Tayshia's season or from Katie's season. That's one girl that I kind of got my eye on. I also feel like going all the way back to Peter's season, Kelsey had a tricky ride, but by the end of Peter's season, I felt like I understood her and I wanted her to be happy. And following her journey on social media, interestingly enough, post Peter's season as well, I actually really like her. So those are two girls that I'm hoping find some good guys.
Absolutely, guys. That is everything we have to share with you guys. So let us know what you guys thought of the Andrew S. and Katie breakup. Do you think Katie made a mistake? Did Andrew S. make a mistake? What will Andrew S. say at the Men Tell All? And who from Bachelor in Paradise do you ship Andrew S. with if he ends up showing up midway through the season? Because you really never know what to expect on Paradise. Before you guys go, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell because we'll be back with more Bachelorette Nation news soon. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and I was joined today by the lovely Fiona Zaring and Bachelor Nation lover Hiba Bary. Our social media handles are on the screen right now, so be sure to give us a follow and say hello. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.